did you always aspire when you started playing football? Did you always aspire to play for PSG? Was that like the thing that you and all of your friends hoped and aspired for back home in France?
PSG was definitely, I grew up on the outskirts of Paris, and PSG was definitely my childhood club and the club that is the closest to my heart. But to be honest with you, as a kid, I wanted to be an NBA player. And I wasn't a football fan. I was a massive NBA fan. I'm talking about the Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Scottie Pippen, and those time of NBA. I play a lot of football and basketball with my mate in the street because that's the easy things to play. And I did love football. I remember having the only possible poster of football I had in my bedroom wall was the Holland team, just because of the kids with the red gullet and white card and everything. But I wasn't aiming to be a footballer. I was just doing sport because I love sport. I never thought I'd be an NBA player, but if I had a dream at the time, and if that dream had to come through, it would have been to be an NBA player. Football just came along the way, and I've been at the right place at the right time. And once I realized the opportunity that I had, I did everything to keep it. But if I start to say like that was my dream as a kid and I worked really hard as a kid, that'll be a lie. That's not what happened to me.
Okay, so just, reflecting on your time at PSG, you played with some household names.
Yeah.
Mikel Arteta was there. Pochettino was there.
Yeah.
We see them as managers now. So at that moment in time, could you tell that these will be two prominent managers in the world right now?
No, I think it's impossible, when you're a footballer or rare, maybe not impossible, but really rare as a footballer to see one of your teammates as a future manager, because it's two completely different worlds. I think everybody feel like it's the logic when you retire and you stop football to be a manager, but there's no logic at all in it. It's two completely different worlds. As a footballer, you just do what you've been told and you listen to order and you play when you have to play. And not as a manager, you have to take some big decision, tactical decision, technical decision, team selections, staff. Is a completely different world. So
were they leaders in like the dressing room? Did you see them taking command of situations or asserting their personality?
Yeah, Pochettino was definitely a leader. He's a guy. I was young. I think I was 21. That was my second year of professional football when I played with him. The first year at PSG wasn't there. The second year arrived, and I remember looking at him like as a kid and thinking like, wow, that's a man. That's a real man. He's someone that you had to respect. He wasn't aggressive, nothing. It was just like his charisma. He's a real leader, natural leader. Not trying to force it, not trying to impress people. But from the first training session he arrived, that's someone, as a kid, that's someone I look up to.
Also, during your time at PSG, Ronaldinho was there. This is a player that, has turned out to be one of the greatest, in my opinion, as a kid growing up, seeing him dominate football for a few years. So how was it being in and around him?
Unreal. Football, when I turned professional quickly, I had 2 or 3 years of like struggling a little bit, and then I had 2 amazing opportunities, one with Guignon and one to come back with PSG, because I was at the academy of PSG, got released, play non-league football for 2 years, then play 1 year in like championship level, but in France, and then PSG asked me to come back again as a professional. So that went really fast. I went from non-league football to Champions League and playing alongside a guy like Ronaldinho or Okocha, which I've never been the most gifted technically player, and playing against a guy like that, he was just like, every day at training, he was like doing some tricks. And I could not believe it. You play head tennis with Ronaldinho, he's playing with every part of his body. It's just unreal. You just realize that you can work as hard as you want. When you're that technically gifted, it's something that is given to you, and he doesn't have to work. Am I going to tell you that Ronaldinho is a hard worker? He's not. He comes, have fun, goes home. But every weekend, like breaking ankles and breaking. It's unreal. It is honestly unreal. It's possibly, to me, the most naturally gifted players I've played along.
Wow.
Do you feel that, I just want to talk about you a bit. Do you feel that because you were left-footed, and you had the raw attributes. You had the pace. You had the, the power. You had the tackling ability. Do you feel that you always had a chance to be a centre back because, left centre backs are always coveted, those left footers?
Yeah. Do I feel like I always had a chance? No, because I possibly didn't have all the attributes that you've been looking for a centre back. So I will fit only in certain teams. But what is for sure is I love to play. I will love to play. And if any manager of any club come and say to me, listen, you come, the best will play, I will go with no hesitation, because I know that it's only up to me to do the work after that and convince the manager that I deserve it. So I will back myself, because I know I will work hard and get what I deserve. But every manager have different vision of football. So there's certain manager that you will never suit. You will never do the right thing for them, no matter how hard you try. So you have to think about it as well.
You know what? Just following on from Dot's question there, Sylvain. He was obviously speaking about being a left footer and playing in the centre of the defence. You joined Newcastle initially on loan.
Yeah.
And then you signed permanently for Manchester City. And my understanding is part of the reason why you decided to sign for City was because you wanted to play left centre back as opposed to playing left back.
No, not at all.
No?
It's very simple. I spoke about it recently. I think I never really spoke about certain choices I've done in my career, because I've always been quite, I won't say private, but I just didn't feel the need to have to explain anything. And it's only since I stopped football that you feel like you're free and you don't have to be careful what you say, how you say. You just feel free. You don't belong to anyone anymore. So I spoke about it not that long ago. It's very simple. I signed for Newcastle on loan. I think I signed in September, and they had the exclusivity to buy me until, I think it was something like March or something like that. I can't remember. And everything went well. Maybe the first months I think I didn't play. Then I had an opportunity to play, and then I never left the squad. Played every game. Everything went well. Was really happy. Even if, to be honest, the first month was hell for me. I wasn't speaking English. Up north in Newcastle, I could not understand the accent. I have to say, it was tough. It was tough. But then I started to play, started to learn English. Everything went well.
Yeah.
And March arrived, and they didn't take the exclusivity to sign me. So that opened the doors to the club. And from March to, I think, end of the season in May, we were talking about negotiating about me staying. I made it clear that I wanted to stay. My goal was not to go away, but I had to look at other opportunities. And came to the last game of the season. I said to them, listen, there's still nothing. I think they made only one offer, which I'm going to be honest with you. And I said to them, I said, I'm not looking to be the best paid players in the club, because I've never played for that. But I want a minimum of respect. You can't ask me to sign professional for you and be paid less than some players at the academy when I'm playing every game. So there's a right balance, And the second offer never came. So came to the last game of the season. I said the manager kept coming. That was Bobby Robson at the time. Someone that I've got amazing respect for. Said to me, don't worry, you're going to sign. I said, I'm not worried. I just let you know after the last game of the season, I'll sign somewhere. I really hope from the bottom of my heart it's going to be Newcastle. If it's not, it'll be somewhere else. And we played the last game of the season, went back home, had no news from the club. The next day, I just went and signed for City. So in my mind, I thought, okay, well, it's Newcastle, first choice, for sure, 100%. If the opportunity doesn't come, my second option for me was Manchester City at the time. And I just took to my word. The last game of the season came. I had no news from the club, and I went and signed for City. That was a big shock for Newcastle, because we qualified for Champions League. We had a great season, so I guess they felt like he's never going to sign for anyone else. And but I'm not like that. I've got words. I've got principle, and that's all I did. So they tried to block the contract and cancel the contract and everything, but nothing was possible. They asked me to come back, and then they said, listen, if you stop your contract at City, you come back, we give you whatever you want. So it's not about money. I told you that from day one. It's not about money. It's about principle. It's about respect. I signed for City now. I could not stop my contract for City and come back to Newcastle and look at people in the eyes. So my choice is done. You had an exclusivity until March. You could see me play and train every day until March. You decided not to take it. You had another 2-3 months playing me around. So that's done. And do I regret it? It's difficult considering I played in every game, every club I've been. I won club trophies. I won personal trophies. I've got personal record. I can't say I regret it. Would have loved things to be different and signed for Newcastle at the time. Yes, not because I didn't enjoy my time at City or the club, just because at the time I had a fantastic time over there. I learned my football with guys like Alan Shearer, Gary Speed, Bobby Robson. I loved it. I had no complaint. I didn't want to leave. It's just that very young, I knew what I wanted, and respect was part of it, and I didn't feel that, and I left.
Yeah, so Sylvain, talking about what was happening on the football pitch,
yeah.
You know, you were with your French counterparts, Olivier Bernard,
Yeah.
Laurent, you know, Robert.
Yeah.
You know, you went to Highbury and you beat them 3-1. So if you could explain how that was, because at the time, Arsenal were one of these dominating forces. They had Henry, Vieira, Campbell.
Yeah,
so if you could explain the camp and the camaraderie in the team.
To be fair with you, I was just following. For me, it was still really fresh. It was only my second year professional. I would never expect to be alongside, like, as I say, a guy like Alan Shearer or something like that. I was possibly collecting his card 2 years before that, and I ended up like training next to him and playing with him every day. I was really starstruck the first few months. And Newcastle at the time was a team that had a player who've been there for a long time, and you just come in the dressing room and you have to fit in. It was strong character. You have to fit in. If you don't, you'll be left out. So I was just following, and by following, I was just opening my eyes and learning. And every game I was playing against amazing striker, like guys like Thierry Henry. For me, he's French, but I never played against guys like that. So I was just like, come on, mate, just do your best. Come on, it's your moment to prove it. So I never really thought about it at the time. My goal was just to like learn, make sure I just keep the plays that I just started to get at Newcastle, and play every game. And it's only, and to be honest, I've been like that most of my career. I never really think about like 2 years after, like, oh, we played that game and we won this, and I just want to play the game. So I just celebrate at the end of the game. But this year, what I remember with Newcastle is that we felt like really strong, and we felt like everything was possible. I think we were not far from winning the league from a few points.
Yeah, you were top when you played against Arsenal.
Yeah, we played big part of the season top, and you've got that feeling that if you do the right things and like big mistake, you can beat anyone on the day. Not that that's it, we're going to win the league for sure, but you just feel confident. And at the time, and I think that was possibly our best strength, playing Arsenal didn't feel like this is the big game of the season. You just take it as this is another game, let's do our stuff, and things will be right. We've got enough to cope with them. We've got enough to challenge them as well. And that's a great feeling when you don't feel like you're the outsider and you have to be 110% to be able to get something out of a game. That's a really good position mentally.
Sylvain, obviously, you know, after your spell at Newcastle, you joined Man City, as you mentioned earlier. But I just want to quickly go back for a second. Did you always have an interest in English football, and did you think your game married up to what we see in England?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little secret. My fantasy game, the team that I really dreamed about was Crystal Palace when I was playing in France. Wow. Just for the name, Crystal Palace. Being French, it was just like, wow. I didn't know any players. I didn't know nothing about the club. I just was like, Crystal Palace. What a name. But once I started playing in France, I thought coming to England was a goal. But I thought I don't want to rush it. After my first season professional, I could have had some interest from a couple of clubs in the Premier League, but I felt like I was too young. I only played 1 year professional. I wanted to establish myself and play possibly 2-3 seasons maybe in France, and then get enough experience and then come to England. That was my game plan really, but I went way faster than expected.
Sylvain, just another question from me. I remember you scoring, you know, a sensational goal whilst you were at Man City, and you actually tweeted the other day, what went through my head. the solo run against Aston Villa. What actually went through your head? Because that was a man that was possessed.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, you see the opportunity and you go for it. I remember at City, I used to do some best forwards like that. But this one, you just start and you just see opportunity and you carry on, and it just went all the way. And yeah, that was a great goal. I really enjoyed it. I remember Bernardo Corradi after the goal who said to me, like, if you didn't score that, because he was right next to me, but to be honest, I saw nothing. I was running like that. I saw nothing and no one. Like, no. And he said, if you had missed that, I think I would have killed you. I said, you were there, like, I was there, right next to you, goal wide open. I didn't see you. So what went through my head, I don't know. You've got moments sometimes in football. Every footballer will tell you that no matter the level, if you play five-a-side, if you play in the street, you've got a day where you don't know how everything works. That's just the way it is. And that was one of those moments for me.
Yeah, so Sylvain, you joined City before obviously the Abu Dhabi owners came in. And so how do you reflect on your time? Because when you look at the positions that you finished each season, it was mid-table, just under mid-table. And how would you assess your time?
Well, it's a bit difficult because if you think City, you think about City now winning the league. Yeah. But what you have to remember at the time with City, they just got promoted. Just assigned for them, they just got promoted. So the goal was not to win the league when I arrived. The goal was to keep the club in the Premier League. And that's what we did. So it's weird to say like, we had a great time, because people feel like, but we didn't play a fight against relegation. We possibly had one season, I think, where we were in the bottom three, or not far from the bottom three for a few games, but we were a mid-table club. And at the time, that was the goal. And I would love to believe that was the foundation for what City is now. Make sure that the club remain in the Premier League. And as I said, that's what we did. So you feel like mission accomplished, really, you know, because it was a completely different club than the City today. Completely different.
You know what, Sylvain? So, you know, you obviously mentioned then the club's goal as a whole was, of course, to stay in the Premier League and stay competitive and whatnot. But on a personal level, you joined, and at the time you were the club record signing
5 million.
centre back. Yeah, exactly. Oh, how times have changed, right?
Yeah.
But you know, personally, did you feel an extra amount of pressure for you to perform as an individual because you had that title above your head?
No, not at all, because for me, I was still young. My feeling was I'm still learning. That was my third year professional at the top level. And in my mind, I was still learning. I was more feeling like I'm still that kid who was 3 years ago was still playing non-league football. So I didn't feel any pressure. Honestly, I didn't feel no pressure at all. I just said, come, learn, do your best, and keep progressing. That was my goal. And 5 million at the time, you know, yes, it's a lot of money. And in football, it was the club record, but the club record for City, you still had defenders who were like 30 odd million or 25 million. So you don't feel like you're one of the best and you have to perform. You just feel like, for the club, they invest a lot of money in you, so you're going to have to repay them. But not the pressure more than that. Just, it was more motivation for me than anything else.
So Sylvain, you spent time at City, then obviously the move to Portsmouth came around.
Yeah.
You know, moving with Harry Redknapp, and you had a very, very good spell there, winning the FA Cup. So if you were to assess your time at Portsmouth, like, what were the high points, what were the low points?
I spent 2 seasons of there, and we went from like really high to really low in the space of 2 seasons. So that was really strange time. Obviously, the high will be the FA Cup. Because winning the FA Cup with Portsmouth, you know, as well as me in England, there's on average maybe the same 2-3 clubs who win the FA Cup season after season. So winning it with a club like Portsmouth was something special. And that was my second trophy in football, and that was an amazing time. But then the season after, the manager left. I remember getting ready for the game. We had absolutely no idea in the dressing room what was going on. And it was the morning of the game. I wake up and my partner has just said to me, like, "Oh, your manager signed for Tottenham." Well, what are you talking about? We play in like 5 hours. He was there yesterday. Well, yeah, he looks Sky Sports. And I turned the news on and I just could not believe it. It's like, well, what's going on? I wasn't expecting it at all. No one was. So that was a really, really strange game. You come to the game, the manager is not there. No one heard about it. He didn't call anyone. It was really strange. And from there on, everything went down. All the players started to leave like one by one. They started to sell players. It was a tough time. We still had a competitive team, but at the end of the second season, obviously, team was not the same. We went through a couple of managers. They all struggled a little bit, and I was in negotiation to actually extend my contract. I think I was 30, simply 30 or 31 at the time. Forgot. And I thought, well, I'll sign another 2-3 years and then I'll be happy. I finish my career here. And then I had a call from the chairman who just said to me, listen, we've got an offer from another club and financially we're in a position where we need that. I signed for them for free. So that was a great business for them. And I understood that. So I just listened to the other opportunity and left. But it was a really strange time to go. It was a roller coaster, you know. And we always feel like the club then went to administration and everything. And I still had friends over there. And as a footballer, whatever happened to the club, you'll find another club. But you have to remember there's a lot of people who lost their jobs and their life. I mean, not physically, but
livelihoods. Yeah.
Yeah, livelihood. You know, it was tough to see that. It was really, really, really tough for me. It was a strange time, and you still have to carry on and move on and carry on with your career. But I kept in touch with a lot of people, and it was not a nice time, I have to say.
Yeah, just to round up on your time at Portsmouth. When we think of the FA Cup now, is getting diminished in terms of its value as a trophy. As a Frenchman, coming from France, how did you view the FA Cup, and how do you view it now?
It's a trophy. I think it's diminished from possibly the team that competes in Champions League every season. But if you ask any club outside of the top 4, top 5, they will be really happy to win an FA Cup. So I don't think it's that diminished. It's always the same. You tend to talk to about the same club and about the same type of players and the same managers. And those type of players and managers play for national team and they think about the World Cup. They think about the Champions League. That's their goal. It's not the FA Cup. But if you take any club below that, who know most of their players are not international. If they are, they play most of the time for like lesser country or smaller country in terms of football who have no chance to possibly even qualify for the World Cup. They don't have a chance to win the Champions League. They don't have a chance to even qualify for the Champions League. So for them, the FA Cup is the goal. So I don't think it's diminished, maybe possibly a little bit by the media, and that makes everybody feel like, oh, it's the FA Cup, just put it to the side. But I can tell you, like any club outside of the top 4, top 5, they play it 100% because they want to win it. They want to have a chance to win it.
Sylvain, in your, you said when you entered your 30s and you then joined Everton.
Yeah.
And to me, it seemed like you aged like a fine wine. For me, I think
French fine wine.
I think when you at Everton, you started playing the best football of your career, and I think you were absolute rock at the back. Do you feel that's because you didn't have, much experience? You came into the game a bit late in terms of first team football. So in terms of tactically and mentally, as you got older, you started to understand the game a bit better? Because for me, your positioning was outstanding.
No, I totally agree with you. Maybe not about being outstanding, but about maturity. You have to remember, I started professional. I arrived in England, I was 21, I think. So if you think about most English players at 21, that's possibly their second, if not third season in the Premier League. So I started late. Even professional, I started at 20, 19. So that was quite late. So yeah, I think it's a mix of maturity, football maturity, I would say, to understand the game better, playing with different clubs, different managers, as well as the fact that when I signed for Everton, I had a completely different type of manager. David Moyes is a hard-working manager. The players work really hard, and you feel like, well, I'm 32 or something like that. I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I feel like I was 25, but I was not. Most of the club I've been, there's like group of players. It's like you've got like the sprinters, you've got the long distance runner, or you've got the senior pros, and you run a bit less than the others. I arrive at Everton, you 19, you 16, you 55, everybody run the same speed, the same distance. And he put a different mindset in my head, you know. So I think mentally I was stronger. Physically, I started to be introduced to like the gym, but like seriously gym, not like beach workout for the summer. Like strength and conditioning. Thanks to the strength and conditioning coach at Portsmouth, so I started to work on my physical aspect as well. So I started to feel different and better. And plus as I say, plus the maturity of football, yeah, and the atmosphere at Everton, everything was there for me to actually pick when I was not supposed to pick. So I was as well surprised, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Everton, going to Goodison Park during those times, you knew you were going to get a game. I remember you and Jagielka at the back, Leighton Baines, you know, Tony Hibbert at the time, and obviously later on Seamus Coleman. So how would you assess David Moyes as a manager? Because since he's left Everton, he had the spell at Manchester United. It didn't go as planned. In my opinion, he should have got more time. And now we see him at West Ham. So how would you assess him as a manager?
He's someone I've got amazing respect for, not just for the person, but for what he's done with a club like Everton. We were fighting to qualify for breaking to the top 4 at the time. Now it's more like the 6 or 7 teams who can break into that Champions League. But at the time, it was only 4 teams that you had to beat really, and we were knocking at the door every season, qualifying for Europa League, and you were every time borderline. And with the team, we had no disrespect because we had amazing players, but compared with the top 4 above us, we were not there, but we were able to compete, and that's thanks to him. He established a mentality, a work ethic as well in the team. You had an amazing team spirit, and that's coming from him. So I've got a lot of respect for him. I think taking the United job, it was a shame for us. I was sad to see him leave, but it's an amazing opportunity that as a manager you have to take. But being just after a guy like Ferguson, it's a really, really tough task. We see it up to now. We still see that it's the very difficult task. And you have to remember that when Alex Ferguson left, he possibly took everything he could take from the players, and he was living at a time where you knew, even if he stayed, that the club will start to dip a little bit. You had the emergence of City coming and everything, so it was a really tough task. I feel like he should have had more time, but when you had a club like United, who have time? Nobody. Possibly the one who have the most time is the one in place now. Whatever the reason, possibly because they feel like we try to change and it doesn't work, or possibly because he's the next player, whatever the reason. But he's got a bit more time than everyone, and I hope he'll do something with it. But amazing respect, and I think because of his time at United, and he went to Sunderland as well, and possibly people feel like in terms of media that he lost it a bit. But I can tell you, he's a guy with an immense drive. Very basic in his football. Yeah, he's not going to tactically make something crazy, but he make every team you've got strong and difficult to beat. And still now to the day, if you speak with anyone about our time at Everton, they will all say to you, this is the place we didn't want to go and play, because we knew we will have a battle. Top of the league, bottom of the league, any team, nobody enjoyed it. And that's the best compliment I think you can give him.
100%.
Yeah, across the road, at Stanley Park, we have Liverpool, and, from the outside looking in.
When you say we have Liverpool, you sound like a Liverpool fan.
Oh, he is.
Silver, you sussed me out.
You've caught him red-handed.
You caught me red-handed.
Next question, please. Next question.
Okay, so the next question is, what's your thoughts on Virgil van Dijk?
Sylvain, so across the road at Stanley Park, we have Liverpool, and you know, from the outside looking in, there's kind of like maybe an inferiority complex towards Liverpool from Everton. So when you were inside the camp, how was the conversations around Liverpool? Was it like, we need to get to that level, or what did they say?
To get to that level would have been difficult because we knew financially they could buy better player than us. They could do a lot of things more than us. But what we knew is as well is that in terms of fighting spirit, this is not about money. This is about mentality. So our goal was not to be better than them. Our goal, to be honest, was to beat them on the day. That's it. It's the same when I was playing for City, and at the time when you play United was winning the season, the league season after season. So you don't want to be better than them and win the league. You just want to beat them because that's the rivalry, that's the derby, that's what matters for the fans, for the clubs, for the players. And it was the same at Everton. You know, you feel like this is the game when the season before the season starts, and you've got the schedule of the season. The first two games you look at are the Liverpool games. I'm not going to lie to you. You want to see where they are. and the few games you've got before, the few games you got after, that's the two games you look at. Feeling of inferiority, honestly, not. We knew, let's be honest, we knew at the time, in terms of results, they were better than us. There's no point to lie. They qualify for Champions League. They fight to win the Champions League, to win the league. We were not there. But that doesn't make us feeling inferior. We knew as well that we had something strong in the dressing room that will maybe compensate for the lack of financial power that we had.
So you see, you know, the modern game, and you see, you know, defenders like Virgil van Dijk, because we're speaking about Liverpool. What are your thoughts on Virgil van Dijk? How good do you think he is?
Amazing. He's an amazing player. I love to watch him. The only problem I've got now a day about centre-back is we talk a bit more about their distribution, that their defensive attributes. And it's a football change. It's really different. You don't have Alan Shearer anymore. You don't have those type of players. So it's a different challenge as a centre-back. It's a lot more tactical, possibly a lot more technical as well than it was at my time. But you have to give the guy tribute. He's amazing in the modern football. He's amazing at what he's doing. If he's not the best, he's one of the best. So you have to give him credits. But at the same time, football is different. So you face a completely different challenge. And I'm really old school in terms of everything, mentality, in terms of everything. I'm really old school, and I won't judge a defender for his how many balls he lost, or I'll judge a defender on his defensive attributes, and that's what I love. I love to defend, and I don't think you have as much to do defensively than offensively, especially when you play with a team so dominant as Liverpool at the moment. It's more about possession. So he might have few defensive stuff to do through the game, but not as much. So you could see more of his defensive quality at Southampton than you can at Liverpool. So I do appreciate that as well. That for me, I could judge him more as a defender when he was playing for a club like Southampton. Yeah. But again, I can only praise him. What he's doing is amazing. This season, he maybe not have been as consistent as last season, but that's because last season he was just at like an amazing level. To keep this level is really difficult. And even if he's not have been as consistent, he's still one of the best. So don't feel because he's not as consistent or he's done a couple of mistakes, that means that's it. He's still like at an amazing level.
100%. You know what, Sylvain, that question is the perfect segue into my question, because like Dej mentioned earlier, whilst you were at Everton, you built a formidable partnership with Phil Jagielka. And around that time, we also saw the emergence of John Stones coming through the academy, who is, many would regard a modern day centre-back in that, he's often lauded for his comfortability on the ball and his distribution and whatnot. So whilst he was coming through the academy, whilst you were there at Everton, could you see the ingredients of a top player? Was there a lot of talk and ramblings in the club about him, and has he reached a level that you would have anticipated he's reached now at City?
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I love John Stones. He'll be the one to tell you every time if I had an injury, and the first few seasons he was there, if I had an injury, he was starting to play, or if someone was suspended, he'll play. He was not playing every game. And I always push during players. And I remember saying to him, like, now you play, you have your opportunity no matter what. No matter if it's injury, whatever, you have it. Your goal, I was 30, I think 5 at the time. I said, I should not be playing. Your goal is to keep that place. That's it. You want to keep me out of the team. Don't do nothing else. So he knows I've got a lot of respect for him. I'm not sure he's got that defensive grit. He's an amazing player with the ball. He's really confident with the ball. But again, that's possibly the modern centre-back. So as the modern centre-back, yes, he's amazing. Did he fulfill his potential? No. I think he still have a lot to learn. And I think he has to be a lot more consistent. Can he fit in every single team? I don't think so neither. He's perfect for Guardiola. Will he be perfect for a team who have to be stronger defensively, or a team who have less possession and have to be strong defensively first and then think about position? I'm not sure he's there yet. Does he have all the attributes? Yeah, definitely have all the attributes. But I don't know. I feel like something didn't click yet for him. That's really my feeling. He can be much better than what he is now. He's a good player, but when I see at the moment, not at the moment, but when the season was still going, that they will play a midfield at City. They play a midfield as a centre back when they have 2 or 3.
Ronaldinho, yeah.
That's, for me as a centre back, that would hurt me like greatly. Like, hold on, that's my job, and you take a midfield to play in my position. That will hurt me. So that's the type of things that make me feel like maybe, I don't know if he doesn't have the confidence of the manager, or if something else, I'm not sure, but something needs to click with him.